Human Kendall / G.I. Joe, Eric Bolling, closed his show with one of the most idiotic rants I've ever heard. Let's listen to him compare liberalism to the Ebola virus.
While everyone is up in arms about Ebola and we must remain vigilant and fight it with all we have, there's another virus that's already taken hold of Americans in every state: liberalism. Truth, transparency, freedom, and liberty, the flag, under God, patriotism, all out the window, are being replaced by everyone gets a trophy. Share the wealth. Government knows what's best for your business, your family, and your bedroom. Be careful. Liberalism is a dangerous virus. Watch for the signs of viral liberalism. You might be a liberal if you think it's okay to call ISIS the JV team until Americans were beheaded on video. You might be a liberal if you think it's okay that President Obama promised Ebola wouldn't arrive here on an airplane from an outbreak country, and then it did. You might be a liberal if you think it's okay that they tell you the economy is great while milk is an all-time high, gasoline is almost doubled, and wages, household worth, and percentage of Americans working are still in the dumpster. And this one, you might be a liberal if you think it's okay to pay members of our armed services just 94 cents per hour for extra combat pay if they fight ISIS in Iraq and Syria. 94 cents an hour to fight ISIS. Meanwhile, we spend hundreds of billions of dollars on things like Obama phones and windmills to nowhere, but send our sons and daughters into combat, bump them immediately 94 cents an hour. So, the next time you're at Starbucks and you buy that venti skim latte, just think, a Marine couldn't even buy that coffee with the combat pay she earned fighting ISIS for the day. What the hell is happening here? Wake up, America. Liberalism is a virus. Try not to catch it, and if you do, for goodness sakes, don't spread it. Silver lining, cashing in the antivirus for severe liberalism.
Some people think that these people on Fox News are actually smart and they're acting dumb. I go back and forth on this question, and I do think it depends on the host. So you go from host to host and ask specifically, is that one acting and they're not that dumb, or are they genuinely that dumb? Eric Bolling is that dumb, without question. Okay? He thinks he nailed that. That was an embarrassing rant. He thinks he nailed it. In fact, I cut this out at the end because it didn't show the full thing, but he fist bumps his producer at the end of it. Like, yeah, we nailed it. Liberalism is like Ebola. Imagine for a second that a liberal commentator said this about conservatism. I can see the WorldNet Daily and Daily Caller and Drudge Report headlines right now, demanding apologies. And then they would apologize, okay? And they were just so outraged. I can't believe you would say that about conservatism. To the heart of America. Heart of America. But you could say it about liberals, and then you fist bump your producer, and yeah, liberalism is like a virus that kills up to 90% of people that get it. Yeah. Did you rob from Jeff Foxworthy that much? Like, you couldn't be original enough to come up with your own thing? You might be a liberal if. That's exactly like you might be a redneck. And he actually, just to show you the intellectual level of the person we're dealing with, he blamed Obama for Ebola in the middle of that rant. I don't know if you heard it. And then Ebola happens, and this Obama character is fucking Ebola. This Ebola thing, and then there's Obama. See? See what I'm saying? No, nobody sees what you're saying. Conservatives have now gotten on board with this idea that you have to shut down all the flights to everywhere that there's Ebola right now immediately. By that logic, wouldn't we have to shut down all flights to the U.S.? Because we have a handful of cases here? I'm just following your logic, big guy. But understand something. The reason why we haven't shut down flights to certain places and whatnot is because the health experts are screaming from the top of their lungs, it's not an airborne virus, you idiots! It doesn't spread as easily as you think. The reason why it's so prevalent in West Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, you name it, is that people, they're not educated on exactly what it is and how to deal with it, so they're touching the fluids of the dead people who are their relatives, and then they end up catching it. But it doesn't matter. Nothing gets in the way of Fox News fear-mongering. And my favorite part, he said, the 94-cent thing for troops. He's trying to make it seem like, these liberals, they hate the troops and they want to pay them nothing to fight ISIS. Well, actually, what true liberals want to do is not have them fight ISIS. because I believe the military should only be used if there's an imminent threat of attack against the nation. So if ISIS is on their way to Wyoming, yes, I'll send brave young American men and women to fight. If not, I won't. So I want them to not fight and not lose their lives. How about that? You, Eric Bolling, on the other hand, want them to fight in Iraq to save the territorial sovereignty of the Kurdish Peshmerga. But yes, I know, you're so much kinder to them than me when I don't want them to die for no fucking reason whatsoever for people they didn't even know existed 3.5 months ago. Okay, but also, dude, the Republicans consistently have blocked social safety net programs for the troops. I mean, just one example, they rejected over a dozen new clinics for the VA, and then afterwards they complained about the VA not being good. Well, maybe it's not good because you blocked dozens of new clinics from being created where people would have been able to get help. But they scream about wait lines. We had the opportunity to fix the wait lines, and you rejected it. You didn't want new clinics. Or how about the food stamps? Hundreds of thousands of troops need food stamps. Okay, Republicans blocked it. Or how about the story when you guys sent them to Iraq with inadequate armor just to save money? And you're going to go after the Democrats. I mean, please, it is a massive joke. Bottom line is this, man. Liberalism simply represents ideas about society. So, for example, we believe in social safety net programs. We believe in equal opportunity. We believe in universal health care. We believe in only fighting defensive wars. To mock ideas like those as if those are like Ebola, you're flat out calling the overwhelming majority of the American people Ebola patients. Or you're saying they believe in Ebola. Because guess what? According to the polls, the overwhelming majority of the American people agree with that mindset and that philosophy and those ideas. They do not agree with you, Eric Bolling.